In the grand estates of Bavaria, where wealth bought silence and servants knew their place, one woman walked through gilded halls carrying death in her apron pockets. They called her the perfect governess. They had no idea she was listening to voices that whispered when to kill. The October rain hammered against the tall windows of Schloss Gebsattel as Anna Margareta Zwanziger stepped down from the merchant's cart, her worn leather valise clutched tightly in her weathered hands. The imposing Bavarian estate rose before her like a fortress of dark stone and Gothic spires, its windows glowing amber in the twilight. At 46, Anna had the unremarkable appearance that made her perfect for her profession. Medium height, graying brown hair pulled back severely, and pale gray eyes that seemed to absorb everything while revealing nothing. Fräulein Zwanziger? The voice belonged to Herr Friedrich Gebsattel, a portly man in his 50s whose silk waistcoat strained against his prosperous belly. He descended the marble steps with the careful gait of someone who had enjoyed too many rich dinners. "Welcome to our home. I trust your journey from Nuremberg was not too arduous." Anna curtsied with practiced precision, her black dress rustling against the wet cobblestones. "Not at all, Herr Gebsattel. I am grateful for this opportunity to serve your family." Her voice carried the refined accent of someone educated above her station, each word carefully measured. As she spoke, Anna's fingers unconsciously traced the small glass vial hidden in her apron pocket. The white powder inside had been her constant companion for the past 3 years, moving with her from house to house, from family to family. "Soon," whispered the familiar voice in her mind, soft as silk and sweet as honey. "Soon you'll know which one needs your special care." The interior of the estate was everything Anna had expected from Bavarian nobility: ornate furnishings, oil paintings of stern ancestors, and the musty scent of old money mixed with beeswax candles. Frau Gebsattel, a delicate woman with nervous hands, greeted her in the main hall. "The children are already asleep," she explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "Little Heinrich is 7 and Marie is 10. They've been difficult since their last governess departed so suddenly." Anna noticed how Frau Gebsattel's hands trembled slightly as she spoke, and how her husband's jovial manner seemed forced. There was something brittle about this family, something that called to the darkness Anna carried within her. "I understand completely," Anna replied, allowing a gentle smile to touch her lips. "Children often struggle with change, but I have found that patience and proper care can work wonders." That night, as Anna unpacked her few belongings in the modest governess quarters, she heard them, the voices that had guided her for so long. They whispered of opportunity, of the wealthy family sleeping peacefully in their beds, unaware that death had just walked through their front door. "The master drinks wine with his evening meal," the voice murmured, "and the mistress takes her tea before bed. Such simple pleasures, such simple solutions." Anna opened her valise and carefully withdrew a small wooden box. Inside, wrapped in black silk, were 3 glass vials. One contained white arsenic powder, another held liquid arsenic dissolved in water, and the third was filled with a mixture she had perfected over the years. Arsenic combined with sugar to mask the bitter taste. She had discovered arsenic's deadly properties quite by accident during her first position as a governess in Munich. The apothecary had sold it to her as rat poison, but when she had accidentally spilled some into her employer's soup, the results had been educational. The man had died slowly, painfully, but everyone assumed it was his weak heart. Anna had been praised for her devotion during his final days, staying by his bedside, feeding him broth with her own hands. That was when she first heard the voice. "You have a gift," it had whispered. "You can ease their suffering. You can decide when their time has come." Now, 3 years and 7 deaths later, Anna had refined her technique. She knew exactly how much arsenic to use, how to administer it gradually to avoid suspicion, and how to play the role of the devoted servant who tried so desperately to save her employers. The Gebsattel family would be different, she told herself. She would be careful, methodical. She would wait for the right moment, listen for the voice's guidance. And then, a soft knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Fräulein Zwanziger? It was young Marie, the 10-year-old daughter, standing in the doorway in her white nightgown. "I couldn't sleep. I heard voices." Anna's blood ran cold. "Voices, Liebling?" "A woman's voice whispering," Marie said, her blue eyes wide with fear. "She was saying something about about someone needing care. For a moment, Anna wondered if the child could somehow hear the same voice that guided her, but then she realized the truth. The walls in this old house were thin, and she had been speaking aloud without realizing it. "It was only me, child," Anna said gently, kneeling down to Marie's level. "I was saying my prayers. Sometimes I pray for the families I serve, asking God to show me how to best care for them." Marie nodded, seemingly satisfied with this explanation. "Will you take care of us, Fräulein?" The last governess said she would, but then she left without saying goodbye. Anna reached out and touched the child's soft cheek. "I will take very good care of you, Marie, of all of you, I promise." As she tucked the little girl back into bed, Anna felt the familiar stirring of purpose. The voice was right. This family did need her care, and she would provide it in her own special way. Over the following days, Anna settled into the routine of the household. She was everything the Gebsattel family could have hoped for in a governess: patient with the children, respectful to the master and mistress, and incredibly skilled at household management. She had a particular talent for the kitchen, often preparing special meals and drinks for the family. Herr Gebsattel was especially appreciative of her efforts. "You have a gift with seasoning, Fräulein," he said one evening after she had prepared his favorite wine-braised beef. "This has more flavor than anything our cook has ever made." Anna smiled modestly. "I learned from my dear mother, God rest her soul. She always said that the secret ingredient was love. What she didn't mention was the tiny pinch of white powder she had stirred into the wine reduction, or how the voice had guided her hands as she measured it out. Just enough to begin, it had whispered. We must be patient. We must be careful." Within a week, Herr Gebsattel began complaining of stomach pains. Anna was the first to notice his discomfort, the first to suggest he rest, the first to volunteer to prepare special broths and teas to ease his suffering. "You are too kind, Fräulein," Frau Gebsattel said tearfully, as Anna carried yet another tray to her husband's bedside. "I don't know what we would do without you." Anna lowered her eyes humbly. "It is my Christian duty, Frau Gebsattel. In times of illness, we must all do what we can." But even as she spoke the words, Anna was planning her next move. The voice had been particularly active lately, whispering suggestions about the mistress's evening tea, about the children's morning milk, about the endless possibilities that lay before her. She had found her new home, her new family to care for, and she would care for them with the same deadly devotion she had shown to all the others. The arsenic was indeed her truest friend, and it was eager to make new acquaintances. November winds howled through the valleys of Baviera as Herr Gebsattel's condition worsened. What had begun as simple stomach discomfort had evolved into violent episodes of vomiting, accompanied by a peculiar metallic taste in his mouth and a burning sensation in his throat. The family physician, Dr. Brenner, was baffled by the symptoms. "I've never seen anything quite like this," he confided to Frau Gebsattel after his third visit that week. "The symptoms suggest some form of poisoning, but from what source? Perhaps contaminated well water or spoiled grain." Anna, who had been dutifully maintaining her vigil at Herr Gebsattel's bedside, overheard this conversation from the hallway. A slight smile played at the corners of her mouth. Dr. Brenner was closer to the truth than he realized, but he would never suspect the devoted governess who had become indispensable to the household. "Fräulein Zwanziger has been such a blessing," Frau Gebsattel continued, her voice thick with exhaustion. "She prepares all his meals now, stays with him through the night, and never complains. I don't know how we would manage without her." "They couldn't," whispered the voice in Anna's mind. "They need you now more than ever, and soon they'll need you even more." Anna had perfected her routine over the past month. Every morning she would prepare Herr Gebsattel's breakfast herself, usually a soft-boiled egg with buttered bread and weak tea. Into the tea she would dissolve the tiniest amount of arsenic, just enough to maintain the slow progression of his illness. She had learned through experience that patience was key. Too much too quickly would arouse suspicion. Too little would allow recovery. The master of the house had become completely dependent on her care. "Anna," he would whisper when the pain became unbearable, "please, another cup of your special tea. It's the only thing that helps." And Anna would smile her gentle smile and hurry to the kitchen, where she would prepare his medicine with the same careful attention she might give to a beloved recipe. A pinch of sugar, a splash of cream, and just the right amount of white powder to keep him balanced on the edge between life and death. The children had noticed their father's decline, of course. Little Heinrich had become withdrawn and fearful, while Marie asked increasingly difficult questions. "Why is Papa so sick, Fraulein?" Marie asked one gray afternoon as they sat in the nursery, the girls' school books forgotten on the table between them. Anna looked up from her needlework, her expression carefully composed. "Sometimes, Liebling, God tests us with illness to see how strong our faith is. Your Papa is a good man, and God knows he can bear this burden." "But will he get better?" Anna's needle paused in its stitching. The voice whispered its guidance. "Tell her the truth. Not all of it, but enough to prepare her." "I don't know, Marie, but I promise you I will take care of him, and all of you, for as long as you need me." That evening, as Anna prepared the family's dinner, she made a decision that would change everything. Frau Gebsattel had been looking pale and tired lately, her hands shaking more noticeably each day. The stress of her husband's illness was taking its toll, and Anna could see the woman was on the verge of collapse. "She needs your help too," the voice murmured as Anna stirred the soup. "She's suffering just as much as he is. Perhaps more." Anna reached for her special vial and measured out a careful dose, not enough to cause immediate symptoms, but sufficient to begin the process. After all, what was the point of letting Frau Gebsattel suffer needlessly when Anna could provide such elegant relief? The soup was a particular favorite of the mistress, potato and leek with fresh herbs from the garden. Anna had added a touch of cream and a generous amount of black pepper to mask any unusual taste. She served it herself, as had become her custom, making sure to give Frau Gebsattel the largest portion. "This is delicious, Fräulein," Frau Gebsattel said weakly, managing several spoonfuls despite her lack of appetite. "You have such a talent for cooking." "It brings me joy to nourish those in my care," Anna replied, and she meant it. There was something deeply satisfying about watching her charges consume her special meals, knowing that she was guiding their fate with each bite they took. Over the following weeks, the household settled into a grim routine. Herr Gebsattel's condition continued to deteriorate, with Dr. Brenner visiting more frequently and expressing growing concern about the mysterious illness. Meanwhile, Frau Gebsattel began experiencing her own symptoms: nausea, fatigue, and strange pains in her abdomen. "I fear I may be coming down with the same ailment as my husband," she confided to Anna one morning, her face pale and drawn. Anna made appropriate sounds of concern and sympathy. "Perhaps it would be best if you took to your bed for a few days, gnädige Frau. Let me take care of everything. The children, the household, your husband, I can manage it all." And she did manage it all, with the efficiency of someone who had done this many times before. She became the indispensable center of the household, the one person everyone relied upon. The servants looked to her for direction, the children came to her for comfort, and both master and mistress depended on her for their very survival. Anna had always been good at reading people, understanding their needs and desires. It was what made her such an effective governess and such a successful poisoner. She knew exactly what each member of the household needed from her, and she provided it with unwavering devotion. For Herr Gebsattel, she was the gentle nurse who eased his pain with her special teas and broths. For Frau Gebsattel, she was the capable manager who took all worries from her shoulders. For the children, she was the steady presence who made them feel safe even as their world crumbled around them. But it was the voice that truly guided her actions, whispering its wisdom in the quiet moments when she prepared their food and drink. "You are their salvation," it would say. "Without you, they would suffer endlessly. You are showing them mercy." Anna had come to understand that she was not a killer, she was a healer. She was simply healing people of the burden of living, easing their passage from this world to the next. It was a sacred duty, and she performed it with the same devotion she brought to all her work. One evening in late November, as snow began to fall outside the windows of Schloss Gebsattel, Anna sat by Herr Gebsattel's bedside holding his hand. His breathing was shallow and labored. His skin had taken on a grayish pallor and his once robust frame had withered away to almost nothing. "Anna," he whispered, his voice barely audible, "I want to thank you for everything. You've been like an angel." Anna squeezed his hand gently. "It has been my privilege to serve you, Herr Gebsattel. You have been the kindest of masters." "Promise me," he continued, his eyes struggling to focus on her face. "Promise me you'll take care of my family. My wife, my children, they'll need you." "I promise," Anna said solemnly, and she meant every word. "I will take care of them all." As she spoke, she could already hear the voice planning their futures, whispering about the relief she would bring to Frau Gebsattel's suffering, about the mercy she would show the children when their time came. After all, what kind of life could they have without their parents? What kind of future awaited orphan children in a world so cruel and uncertain? Anna Margaretha Zwanziger was nothing if not thorough in her care. December brought with it a bone-deep cold that seemed to settle into the very stones of Schloss Gebsattel. Herr Gebsattel's funeral had been a modest affair. His extended illness had drained much of the family's social connections, and many of the local nobility had sent their regrets rather than risk exposure to whatever mysterious malady had claimed him. Anna stood in the kitchen early one morning preparing Frau Gebsattel's breakfast tray. The widow had taken to her bed permanently now, her own illness having progressed to the point where she could barely stand without assistance. The children had been told their mother was grieving and needed rest, but Anna could see the fear in their eyes growing stronger each day. "She won't last much longer," whispered the voice as Anna carefully measured out the arsenic into the morning tea. "Look how peaceful she's becoming. Soon she'll be reunited with her husband." Anna had increased the dosage slightly over the past week. With the master dead, there was less need for subtlety, and Frau Gebsattel's suffering had become difficult to watch. The woman had lost nearly 2 stone in weight. Her beautiful blonde hair had begun falling out in clumps, and her once bright blue eyes had dulled to the color of winter sky. "Good morning, gnädige Frau," Anna said softly as she entered the darkened bedroom. Heavy curtains blocked out the morning light, casting everything in deep shadows. "I've brought your breakfast." Frau Gebsattel turned her head weakly on the pillow. "Anna, is that you?" "Yes, mein Schatz. I've made your favorite. Chamomile tea with honey and a soft roll with butter." Anna set the tray on the bedside table and helped the frail woman sit up against the pillows. "I don't think I can eat," Frau Gebsattel whispered. "Everything tastes so strange, metallic, and my throat burns." Anna made gentle, soothing sounds as she lifted the teacup to the woman's lips. "Just a few sips, please. You need to keep your strength up for the children." The mention of Heinrich and Marie seemed to give Frau Gebsattel the motivation she needed. She managed several sips of the poisoned tea, each one carrying her closer to the release Anna knew she craved. "The children," Frau Gebsattel said suddenly, grasping Anna's wrist with surprising strength. "What will happen to them when I'm gone?" Anna covered the woman's hand with her own. "Don't speak of such things. You're going to recover." "No," Frau Gebsattel shook her head weakly. "I can feel myself fading. Each day I'm a little less present. Promise me, Anna. Promise me you'll make sure they're cared for." "I promise," Anna said, and the sincerity in her voice was genuine. She would indeed care for the children in her own special way when the time was right. "Soon," whispered the voice, "the mother first, then the children. One happy family, all together again." Over the following days, Anna became the sole manager of the household. The few remaining servants looked to her for direction, the children came to her for comfort, and Dr. Brenner consulted with her about Frau Gebsattel's condition. "I'm beginning to suspect this is the same illness that claimed her husband," Dr. Brenner confided to Anna after his latest examination. "The symptoms are remarkably similar. The stomach pains, the metallic taste, the gradual wasting away. Perhaps there's something in the house itself causing this. Bad air, contaminated water." Anna nodded gravely. "I've wondered the same thing, Doctor. It's so tragic that such a good family should suffer so much. You've been a godsend, Fräulein Zwanziger. Your dedication to this family is remarkable. I've never seen such devotion from a governess." "They are like family to me now," Anna replied. "I would do anything for them," and it was true. Anna had grown genuinely fond of the Gebsattel family, especially the children. Heinrich, with his serious dark eyes and quiet manner, reminded her of her own brother who had died in childhood. Marie, with her quick wit and curious nature, was like the daughter Anna had never had, which made what she planned to do all the more merciful. That evening, as Anna tucked the children into bed, Marie asked the question that had been haunting the household for weeks. Fräulein, is Mama going to die like Papa did? Anna sat on the edge of the bed and smoothed Marie's hair back from her forehead. What makes you ask such a thing, Liebling? She looks just like Papa did before he went to heaven. All thin and pale, and she can't eat anything. Marie's eyes filled with tears. I heard the cook talking to the stable boy. She said there's a curse on our family. Anna's hand stilled in the child's hair. A curse? She said that's why our last governess left so suddenly. She said she was afraid of what was happening in this house. Marie's voice dropped to a whisper. Is it true, Fräulein? Is our family cursed? Anna felt the familiar stirring of the voice in her mind, but this time it seemed different, more urgent, more insistent. Tell her the truth. She deserves to know. There is no curse, Marie, Anna said finally. But sometimes families are tested. Sometimes they're called to be together in a different way. What do you mean? Anna looked into the child's trusting eyes and felt something she had never experienced before. A moment of genuine hesitation. The voice had guided her through 7 previous deaths, had whispered its wisdom about mercy and salvation, but now it seemed to be suggesting something that made even Anna pause. The children are innocent, she thought. They haven't lived long enough to suffer as the adults have. But the voice was insistent. That's exactly why they need your care. Before the world can corrupt them, before they can know real pain, you can save them from all of that. I mean, Anna said carefully, that families who love each other are never really apart, and that sometimes the kindest thing we can do for those we love is to make sure they don't have to suffer. Marie nodded solemnly, not fully understanding but trusting in the adult's wisdom. Will you stay with us, Fräulein? Even if something happens to Mama? Anna leaned down and kissed the child's forehead. I will never leave you, Marie, I promise. I will take care of you and Heinrich forever. As she extinguished the lamp and closed the children's door, Anna felt the weight of that promise settling on her shoulders. She had made similar promises to other families, and she had kept them all, in her own way. The voice whispered its approval. You are their salvation. You are their mercy. You are their love. 3 days later, Frau Gebsattel died in her sleep, her body finally succumbing to the steady accumulation of arsenic in her system. Anna was at her bedside, holding her hand and whispering gentle words of comfort as the woman's breathing grew shallower and finally stopped. The children were devastated, of course. Heinrich retreated even further into himself, while Marie clung to Anna as if she were the only solid thing left in a world that had become terrifyingly unpredictable. What will happen to us now? Marie asked as they stood in the family cemetery, watching their mother's coffin being lowered into the ground beside their father's grave. Anna pulled the children closer to her, one under each arm. Don't worry, my darlings. I will take care of everything. We'll stay together, just the 3 of us. One happy family. But even as she spoke the words, Anna could hear the voice whispering its plans for the future. The children would need time to grieve, time to say their goodbyes to the world they had known, and then, when they were ready, Anna would show them the same mercy she had shown their parents. After all, what kind of life could they have as orphans? What kind of future awaited them in a world that had already shown them so much loss? Anna Margaretha Zwanziger was nothing if not thorough in her love. The new year of 1810 brought an unexpected complication to Anna's carefully laid plans. A distant relative of the Gebsattel family, a stern-faced man named Herr Wilhelm Brenner, Dr. Brenner's younger brother, arrived at the estate to settle the family's affairs and determine the fate of the orphaned children. Anna met him in the main hall, her black mourning dress impeccable, her manner composed and respectful. She had spent the morning preparing for this encounter, knowing that her future with the children depended on making the right impression. Herr Brenner, she said with a respectful curtsy, I am Anna Margaretha Zwanziger, the children's governess. They are waiting to meet you in the nursery. Wilhelm Brenner was a thin man with sharp features and calculating eyes. He studied Anna with the expression of someone accustomed to evaluating property and finding it wanting. I've heard about you from my brother. He speaks highly of your dedication to the family. They were like my own children, Anna replied, allowing a note of genuine emotion to enter her voice. I stayed with them through their darkest hours. Indeed. And that raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Brenner's tone was casual, but Anna detected something predatory beneath the surface. 3 members of a healthy family, dead within 6 months, all from the same mysterious illness. And you, the governess who cared for them all, remain perfectly healthy. Anna felt her heartbeat quicken, but her expression remained serene. I have been blessed with strong constitution, Herr Brenner, and I took great care with hygiene and ventilation during their illnesses. Brenner's eyes never left her face. My brother mentioned that you were particularly skilled in the kitchen, that you prepared special meals for the family. He suspects, whispered the voice in Anna's mind. He's dangerous. He could ruin everything. I did what I could to tempt their appetites during their illness, Anna said carefully. Food is often the only comfort available to the suffering. Before Brenner could respond, the sound of small feet on the marble stairs announced the arrival of Heinrich and Marie. The children had been told they were meeting their father's cousin, a man who would help decide their future. Uncle Wilhelm? Marie asked tentatively, her small hand clutching Anna's skirt. Brenner's expression softened slightly as he knelt to the children's level. Hello, Marie. Heinrich, I'm sorry for your loss. Your parents were good people. Anna watched the interaction carefully, noting how the children remained close to her, how they looked to her for reassurance. After 3 months of being their sole caretaker, she had become their anchor in a world that had taken everything else from them. What will happen to us now? Heinrich asked, speaking for the first time in days. Brenner glanced at Anna before answering. That's what I'm here to determine. There are several possibilities, a boarding school perhaps, or placement with another family member. But we want to stay with Fräulein Anna, Marie protested. She's our family now. Anna felt a surge of genuine affection for the child, mixed with the familiar whisper of the voice. See how much they love you. See how much they need you. You cannot abandon them to strangers. I understand your attachment, Brenner said, his tone becoming more businesslike. But Fräulein Zwanziger is a governess, not a relative. She has no legal claim to you, and no means to support you without employment. I have some savings, Anna interjected, and I would gladly find new employment that would allow me to keep the children with me. Brenner stood, his decision already made. I'm afraid that's not possible. The children need stability, proper education, and the guidance of family members who can provide for their future. I've already made arrangements for them to join their aunt in Dresden. Anna felt something cold settle in her stomach. Dresden was hundreds of miles away. If the children were taken from her, she would never see them again. More importantly, she would never be able to complete her mission of mercy. You cannot let them go, the voice whispered urgently. They need you. They trust you. You promised to take care of them. When would this happen? Anna asked, struggling to keep her voice steady. I leave tomorrow morning, Brenner replied. The children will come with me. That evening, Anna tucked the children into bed with extra care, reading them stories and singing the lullabies they had grown to love. She could see the fear in their eyes. They knew their world was about to change again, and they were terrified of being separated from the only stable presence in their lives. Fräulein, Marie whispered as Anna bent to kiss her goodnight. I don't want to go to Dresden. I want to stay with you. Anna's heart clenched with genuine pain. I know, Liebling. I wish things could be different. Can't you come with us? I'm afraid not. Your uncle has made his decision. Marie's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared, Fräulein. What if something happens to us? What if we get sick like Mama and Papa? Anna sat on the edge of the bed, her mind racing. The voice was speaking to her with unusual clarity, its guidance unmistakable. You cannot let them suffer. You cannot let them be afraid. You have the power to save them from all of that. Listen to me, Marie, Anna said softly. Do you remember what I told you about families who love each other never really being apart? Marie nodded. And do you remember what I said about not letting the people we love suffer? Another nod. Anna reached into her apron pocket and withdrew a small packet of sugar-coated sweets, candy she had prepared earlier that evening with special care. I have something that will help you sleep peacefully tonight. Something that will make sure you never have to be afraid again. She offered the candy to Marie, who accepted it trustingly. Then she moved to Heinrich's bed and gave him his share. These are special, Anna explained as the children ate the poisoned sweets. They'll help you have the most beautiful dreams, and when you wake up, you'll be with your Mama and Papa again. The children smiled sleepily, the arsenic already beginning to work its way through their small bodies. Anna sat between their beds, holding their hands as they drifted off to what she knew would be their final sleep. "You are giving them the greatest gift," the voice whispered. "Peace. Love. A family reunion that will last forever." Anna watched over them through the night, singing softly and stroking their hair as their breathing grew increasingly shallow. By dawn, both children were gone, their faces peaceful and serene. When Herr Brenner came to collect them for the journey to Dresden, Anna met him at the door with tears streaming down her face. "There's been a terrible tragedy," she said, her voice breaking with genuine grief. "The children, they died in their sleep. I think they caught the same illness that claimed their parents." Brenner's face went white. "Both of them? At the same time?" "I found them this morning. They looked so peaceful, as if they were just sleeping." Anna dabbed at her eyes with her handkerchief. "I think their little hearts just gave up. They missed their parents so much." As Dr. Brenner was summoned to examine the bodies, Anna stood in the nursery one last time. She had kept her promise to the children. She had taken care of them, protected them from the uncertainty and fear that awaited them in the world. They were with their family now, safe and loved forever. The voice whispered its approval. "You are their salvation. You are their mercy. You are their love." But even as Anna accepted the praise, she felt an unusual emptiness. For the first time in her career as a caregiver, she found herself wondering if there might have been another way. The children had been so young, so innocent. Perhaps they could have found happiness in Dresden. Perhaps their lives could have been different, but it was too late for such thoughts now. The deed was done, the family was reunited, and Anna Margareta Zwanziger was once again in need of new employment. She would take her skills and her special gifts to another household, another family in need of her particular form of care. The voice would guide her, as it always had, to those who needed her mercy most. After all, there were so many people in the world who were suffering, and Anna had discovered that she had such a talent for helping them find peace. March 1810 brought Anna to the prosperous town of Regensburg, where she had secured a position as housekeeper and companion to Judge Groman, a widower known for his fair judgments and charitable nature. The Gebsattel tragedy had been attributed to a family curse or contaminated well water, and Anna's reputation as a devoted caregiver had only been enhanced by the stories of her tireless vigil over the dying family. Judge Groman was a robust man of 55 with graying hair and kind eyes that seemed to see straight through to a person's soul. His household was smaller than the Gebsattel estate, just himself, his elderly father, and a few servants. But it was warm and welcoming in a way that made Anna feel for the first time in years that she might be able to simply be a housekeeper without any additional duties. "But he drinks wine every evening," the voice whispered as Anna unpacked her belongings in her new room. "And the old man takes medicine for his heart." Such opportunities. Anna tried to push the voice away. She was tired of death, tired of the constant planning and preparation. Perhaps she could simply be normal for a while, simply do her job without the weight of her secret mission. But the voice would not be silenced. "You have a gift. You have a purpose. There are people here who need your help." Within a week, Anna had fallen into the routine of the household. Judge Groman was a creature of habit. He rose early, took his breakfast precisely at 7, spent his mornings in his study reviewing cases, and enjoyed a glass of fine wine with his evening meal. His father, Herr Groman Sr., was a frail man of 78 who suffered from a weak heart and took daily doses of digitalis prescribed by the local physician. Anna found herself genuinely caring for both men. Judge Groman treated her with respect and kindness, never speaking down to her as many employers had. He was intelligent and well-read, and in the evenings he would sometimes invite her to sit by the fire while he read passages from books of philosophy or poetry. His father was a gentle soul who reminded Anna of her own grandfather, and she enjoyed their quiet conversations about his youth and the changes he had witnessed in Bavaria. For 3 peaceful weeks, Anna managed to ignore the voice. She prepared meals without adding her special ingredients. She tended to the elderly man's needs without calculating dosages, and she found herself sleeping better than she had in years. But the voice grew stronger and more insistent with each passing day. "You are wasting your gifts," it whispered as she prepared breakfast one morning. "Look at the old man. He suffers with each breath. Look at the judge. He carries the weight of so many difficult decisions. You could ease their burdens. Anna tried to focus on her work, but the voice continued its relentless pressure. Remember the children. Remember how peaceful they looked. Remember the gratitude in their parents' eyes when their suffering finally ended. It was during the 4th week that Anna noticed Judge Groman reviewing a particularly disturbing case. She could see the stress it was causing him, the way his shoulders tensed as he read the deep lines that appeared around his eyes, the way he rubbed his temples as if trying to push away a terrible headache. "Forgive me, Fräulein," he said when she brought him his afternoon tea. "I don't mean to appear distracted. This case, it troubles me greatly." Anna set down the tea service and allowed herself a moment of genuine concern. "Is there anything I can do to help?" Judge Groman looked up at her with tired eyes. "It's a case involving a woman accused of poisoning her husband. The evidence is circumstantial, but there are disturbing patterns. Similar cases in other towns, other families that have suffered mysterious deaths where this woman had been employed." Anna's blood ran cold. What kind of patterns?" "The woman worked as a governess, a housekeeper, a companion to elderly people. Everywhere she went, people died. Always the same symptoms: stomach pains, vomiting, gradual wasting away. The local authorities have been investigating, comparing notes." He paused, studying a document. "Her name is Anna Margaretha Zwanziger." The world seemed to tilt around Anna. She gripped the edge of the desk to steady herself. I should let you work, Herr Judge," but Judge Groman was looking at her with new attention, his legal mind beginning to make connections. "Fräulein, what did you say your name was?" Anna's mouth went dry. Anna Margaretha Zwanziger." Judge Groman's voice was barely a whisper. He stood slowly, his hand moving toward the bell pull that would summon his servants. "You're her. You're the woman they're looking for. He knows." The voice whispered urgently. "He knows everything. You have to stop him." Anna's hand moved instinctively to her apron pocket, where she kept her emergency vial of liquid arsenic. But as she looked into Judge Groman's eyes, she saw something that stopped her cold. Not fear, but profound sadness. "How many?" he asked quietly. "How many people have you killed?" Anna found herself unable to lie to those kind, intelligent eyes. I don't think of it as killing. I think of it as mercy." "Mercy?" Judge Groman's voice was filled with disbelief. "You poisoned entire families. Children, Anna. You killed children." "I saved them," Anna said desperately. "I saved them from suffering, from uncertainty, from the cruelty of the world. They're with their families now, safe and loved." Judge Groman stared at her for a long moment, and Anna could see him struggling to understand how someone who had seemed so caring, so devoted, could harbor such darkness. "The voice tells me who needs my help," Anna continued, her composure finally cracking. "It guides me to those who are suffering. It shows me how to bring them peace." "What voice, Anna?" Anna looked around the room, suddenly aware that she was speaking aloud about something she had kept secret for so long. "The voice that whispers to me. It's been with me for years, ever since I first discovered what arsenic could do. It tells me when someone needs my care, how much to give them when their time has come." Judge Groman's expression shifted from anger to something that might have been pity. "Anna, there is no voice. There's only your own mind, twisted by guilt and loneliness into something that justifies terrible acts." "No." Anna shook her head violently. "You don't understand. I'm not a killer. I'm a healer. I help people find peace." "You're a murderer," Judge Groman said gently but firmly. "And I'm afraid I have no choice but to turn you over to the authorities." Anna felt the familiar stirring of the voice, but this time it was different. Desperate, angry, demanding action. "Stop him. You have to stop him. He'll ruin everything." Her hand closed around the vial in her pocket. It would be so easy to add a few drops to his wine at dinner, to let him drift away peacefully in his sleep. But as she looked at this good man who had shown her nothing but kindness, Anna felt something she had never experienced before. Genuine remorse. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Judge Groman nodded slowly. "I believe you are. But being sorry doesn't bring back the dead, Anna. It doesn't give those families their lives back. The next morning, Anna Margaretha Zwanziger was arrested by the Bavarian authorities. Her trial became a sensation throughout Germany, with newspapers reporting every detail of the angel of death who had poisoned her way through the aristocratic houses of Bavaria. During her testimony, Anna spoke candidly about the voice that had guided her actions, the sense of mercy that had motivated her crimes, and the genuine love she had felt for her victims. The court-appointed physician declared her mentally sound, but profoundly disturbed, a woman who had convinced herself that murder was an act of compassion. "I do not claim to be innocent," Anna said in her final statement to the court. "I have taken lives, and I understand that society demands punishment for such acts. But I want the court to understand that everything I did was done out of love. I loved those families, I loved those children, and I still believe, that I was saving them from suffering." The judge, not her former employer but a stern man from Munich, showed no mercy in his sentencing. "Anna Margaretha Zwanziger, you have been found guilty of multiple counts of murder by poisoning. You have shown a complete disregard for human life, masquerading your bloodlust as compassion. You are sentenced to death by beheading." As Anna was led away to await execution, she could still hear the voice whispering in her mind, "You did what was right. You showed them mercy. You gave them peace." But for the first time in years, Anna found herself questioning that guidance. Had she really been saving people? Or had she simply been feeding her own twisted need for control over life and death? In her final letter, written the night before her execution, Anna wrote, "I believe it is probably for the best that I am to die, for I do not think I could stop myself from continuing. The voice still speaks to me, even here in my cell. It tells me that the guards need my help, that the other prisoners are suffering needlessly. Perhaps in death I will finally find the peace I tried to give to others." Anna Margaretha Zwanziger was executed on July 17, 1811, in the town square of Bayreuth. Her last words were reportedly, "Forgive me, for I knew not what I did." But the story of the angel of death did not end with her execution. In the years that followed, servants in the great houses of Bavaria would whisper about strange occurrences in kitchens, utensils that moved on their own, the smell of almonds where no almonds were present, and the occasional sighting of a woman in black who would appear in doorways asking, "Do you need someone to care for you?" Some say that Anna Margaretha Zwanziger's voice still whispers to those who work in the shadows of great houses, still offering its twisted version of mercy to those who might be tempted to play God with the lives of others. And in the deepest part of the night, when the wind howls through the valleys of Bavaria, locals claim you can still hear her voice carried on the air, not the voice that guided her to kill, but her own voice crying out in eternal regret for the family she destroyed in the name of love. The arsenic may have been her truest friend in life, but in death, Anna Margaretha Zwanziger learned that some friendships carry a price that echoes through eternity.